Let's go to Rwanda and speak to Christopher Afoke Isike. He's director of the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria. Great to have you on the program, Christopher. A few months ago, in the Oval Office, Donald Trump had J.D. Vance act as a attack dog against Vladimir Zelensky. If Elon Musk is in the meeting between Ramaphosa and Trump, it could get a bit ugly, couldn't it?
Well, it could, especially given how uncouth Elon Musk can be, but I also think that he's falling, lower down the road in the pecking order with Trump. So we would see how that goes. I have a feeling that the President Ramaphosa will be ready for this, and I'm sure he would meet every obstacle with dignified, response.
Christopher, what did you make of the South African ambassador's statements about a white supremacist movement in the United States being led by the US president? Because I presume in Africa that ambassador has now become a hero. But in the United States, this is one of the biggest issues between the American government and the South African government.
Well, it was something that the ambassador shouldn't have said because, diplomatic etiquette requires that as an ambassador, you are representative of your country in the host country. And diplomatic etiquette does not allow you to make statements, disparaging statements about your host country, especially things that border on their internal affairs and governance. So that was a mistake made by that ambassador, and he was expelled. And yes, like you said, he did come to some kind of hero welcome in South Africa, but the government has since moved beyond that because I think the American government responded very forcefully to that.
What are Donald Trump's 30% tariffs on South African exports going to the US going to do for the country?
Well, it will affect the country significantly, especially those of its exports that were duty-free under the AGOA arrangements. And this is why, the president thinks this is a very important meeting to attend, despite, criticisms from the opposition that he should not have gone for the meeting in the first place, because they fear that he could be embarrassed and that he could offer, access, critical minerals and access to people like Musk, which will then impact on the sovereignty of the country. However, given the amount of jobs that are affected by exports, South African exports to the US, the huge volumes, and of course the aid issue is also something to talk about. It is opportune for the South African president to have his head on his shoulder and address economic and trade issues directly, with a view to also dispelling some of the misinformation and disinformation peddled by Mr. Trump.
Keep his head on his shoulder. I love it, Christopher. In other words, keep as calm as you can. Thank you so much indeed for the contribution.